Eric Erenstoft. Finally, you're here. It's been over a year. I keep on asking, but you're so popular. You
I love
know.
it. Good to see you, Scott.
Yeah, you too. You too. One of the reasons I like having on this is because, well, there's a lot of reasons. There's you've been there for me as a professional. You've been there as a group leader for, where we network and build our business, and then as a person, you check in on stuff, and so you're a quality person all the way around. So it's just not just a work thing, but to me, it's a friendship thing. And so I'm really happy that you took time to be here.
Well, I think so too. I mean, right back at you. You're incredibly compassionate. You're involved with. You're just full of someone who is service oriented and truly cares about people. So I think that like people attract, and you want to keep that
Hmm.
in your circle when you're doing business because it also it also sort of describes the kind of clients and circle of influence that you surround yourself with
Hmm.
that is a pleasure to work with. So it's always great to collab. We've known each other a long time. Wow.
Right.
And we
It's
both
been,
have
yeah.
entertainment industry backgrounds as well.
Hmm. So we don't need to talk about mine because mine is pretty much is boring as hell. Because there's just a couple of things. I mean, you have to really have to really be bored to find my career exciting because it was 10 years of me just struggling and. But what about you? You say so. Give us a snapshot of yours if you don't mind sharing it.
My entertainment background?
Sure, you
Oh,
brought it
so
up.
I worked I worked at the Walt Disney Company, and I was doing strategic partnerships for Disney with Fortune 100 companies. So when you'd
Hmm.
see a Toyota or Lexus or
Hmm.
Apple or any of the big Nestle or partnering with Disney, whether it be at the parks, which would be the obvious, but also Disney. There's all kinds of magazines, Discover magazine, Disney magazine. There's ABC, ESPN on the TV. There's
Hmm.
Touchstone, Miramax on the films. There's of course the affiliates like the Orlando Airport and Epcot and
Hmm.
every medium that there is. Well, whenever you see another company that's partnering with Disney, I was working on those strategic partnerships,
Hmm.
basically going into the ad agencies and to the clients and actually saying, we need to have you need to have us in all the media to for advertising, marketing, and to be able to push your product and your brand out into our audience. So I did
Hmm.
that for quite a while, and before that, I did some on-camera work in
Hmm.
production and stuff. So I've been in front of the camera, I've been behind the camera, um, and uh, and in that circle, and been a SAG. I'm a SAG after card holder for
Hmm.
40 years, something like that.
Did you ever get to the point where you got your benefits? Because I was like 1 year off,
I
and I
did for a
spent.
while when I was doing it. I did. That's a whole funny story. Really quickly, like for people who don't know, like the union. I didn't know at the time. I was young that it's really good to get into the union. You want to get into the
Hmm.
union. Well, I had gotten a commercial, and my agent pulls me in and says, "Hey, do you want to join the union?" I'm like, "Does it cost money?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't." So so he goes, okay, but if you get another one, any kind of work, you're going to have to join it. So I like a week later, I get another one. And he goes, do you want to join the union? I'm like, no. He's like, too bad you're joining the union. I find out later that like there's hundreds of thousands of people that are trying to get vouchers and all these things to try to get
Right.
into the union. Here I am just like poo-pooing it.
That's
So I
funny.
learned the value along the way. But when you're first starting out, you're like, do I have to pay money? No, then I don't. So I got benefits for a
Mm.
while
That's
while I
that's
was doing that
awesome.
more in front of it before I landed over at the corporate at Disney when I was doing on camera stuff. I
Mhm.
did, yeah.
How fun. My quick story is living in Spokane, Washington. There was an audition for a product called Route 66 root beer. I get it. And I'm going, oh, this is fun. It's just me, with some girls hanging out and go into a photo booth. You take pictures, you joke around. And then I'm let go and I'm thinking, and I made $333. Yes, I was freaking thrilled. But then every 3 months, they send me another check. And I'm going like, what? What is going on? I think they made a mistake. Should I cash this? What should I do?
It's
So
Christmas. It's
I
Christmas with the
stumbled into
mailbox.
it. And then I moved to Portland, and they say, "Are you a member of the union?" And I said no, but I did this commercial. Turns out I'm eligible. So, so I stumbled into it, got a bunch of commercials, all that kind of stuff, but never enough to make it to just push to that next level. So, but it was a great experience. I don't regret it at all. It's just, it wasn't meant to be. Yeah.
Definitely.
And so from a business standpoint, you're with E3 Capital Partners, which has a huge focus on commercial and residential financing.
Yep.
You're one of the few guys that I would say does both great, because you're so freaking thorough. And whenever I've been involved with you, it's like, God, this guy's thorough. I mean, oh my God, every little detail. So how did you get into that? Tell us a little bit about how you got all that started.
Well, kind of baptism by fire. Back in the '90s, my resume is all over the place, but back in the '90s, I was introduced to what was one of my first mentors, who was running a mortgage brokerage, and this was right back when when ARM products were coming out, and the
Right.
first refinances coming out of that, double-digit interest rates, and the rates were coming down still like 8 or 9%, which was considered like you're dancing when you get in that. And so there was a big refinance boom, and I was baptized by fire from learning the business that way with this company. And then lots of stuff happened between, but got into corporate and then went back into real estate and worked at another firm for a while until I actually started partnering with the firm and started E3 Capital Partners. That was early 2000s. In doing residential commercial, I was working in bridge and hard money. I was doing the whole range of financing, and we had all kinds of clients. Like I just mentioned, Scott, about a third or more of my clients were in entertainment, both above the line, below the line entertainment
Sure.
clients. Matter of fact, I see this entry level PA who I helped her buy her first condo, and now I see her executive producer on a very big show, and I'm like, wow! And she has a one of a kind name. I'm like, wow, good for her. She's like, over the years, she totally raised from PA all the way up to executive
I
producer.
love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what a lot of people do, is they take whatever they can, and then they prove their worth, and all of a sudden they're producing. They say, how'd you do it? Well, they were willing to do what the other people weren't willing to do, and put in all that extra work.
Yeah, they bust tail, and got to be nice in that industry, and you move up. And so yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty smart guy. So I mean, when you learn residential and commercial finance, they're different beasts, but once you know how to do them and it makes sense, it really, what I wanted to do in structuring my company was to be able to deal with any situation, any sort of box to fit in. I want to have all the entire spectrum. So when anybody comes with me with any kind of borrower or any kind of property, any kind of situation, we can customize that. And that's kind of, I didn't see it as I do one or I do the other. It's like, I want to take care. Everybody has their own, every deal has its own
Right.
DNA, as you know, Scott. So that unique DNA, you want to match that with the best and best needs, so that they get the best rates, the best prices, they get the best representation, and all of these things. And it was driven more by service and wanting to give people the highest level of service. And so I had to learn all that. I did, and it's worked out well for me.
Very good. So it's pretty much you running your own shop. I mean, what does it look like?
Yeah, I'm lean and mean. I have a number of different teams that I plug into depending on what kind of a deal it is. But I'm not one of those big wirehouses that has, millions of, telemarketers or anything like that. You're going to deal with me. And I'm working directly with the clients. Buck stops with me, and, I delegate a lot and I have a lot, but clients are always working with me from start to finish. And as you know, because when I come to you, I have a relationship with them already, and it's a handoff, and it's you can always come to me if you need any help with that as well. So that's the kind of relationships I like to build with my clients. So
Right. Well, that's the experience I had with you too, because when we were talking about this condo in the valley, and I do it. That's most of my business is there. You were so involved and ingrained in it, and I can tell you that. This is not exaggerating, but like 95% of the people wouldn't do that. but you understood it a lot more. And it was really great to work with you because you were looking at seeing how you could make it work and stuff. But instead of talking about me and how I saw it, why don't you tell that was a crazy, crazy deal. So why don't
Oh,
you
we
tell
had
us?
how much time do you have? Um,
Yeah.
well, first of all, yeah, I mean, just to kind of answer back on that, Scott, I think of how would I want to be if I'm Scott Nell, and if somebody's coming to me fully informed, fully just knowing everything to be able to hand over to you. I want to make sure that you can slay it, and you
Hmm.
already can. But why wouldn't I give you all of the accoutrements that you need in order to absolutely slay it? And I want to make
Right.
sure that that's so. Anyway, that's kind of what that is. And
But
again,
that's exactly what you did.
yeah,
Because now you knew it was going to be complicated, and so
yeah,
you were going to prepare me for what was going on. So it was good. It was good for me. It's good for you. It's good for the client. So it's just. I mean, it's really exceptional because it's a very high level that you're involved, very high level, and
yeah.
that was
So
just a great thing about
you
you.
want to talk about some hell?
Let's go.
because because
Yes.
I because in the hell diagram, Scott Nell is that river crossing the Styx. He's the one he's actually pulling someone out of hell and crossing them back over into purgatory and on over. So I actually I had been talking to you, Scott, for probably almost 2 years on this because
Yep.
we had a client, entertainment client, actually a writer. And here's
Hmm.
something that you don't, who is a trustee of her trust, of a trust of siblings. Mom died, and she was left in charge of this property to liquidate
Hmm.
and to deal with in order to split with her siblings. Well, simple, right? Well, there was some water damage that happened from water intrusion. It's a luxury condo, so some of it was external. So as you know, Scott, there's an HOA and there's the external HOA stuff, and then there was the damage that was inside, which is her personal unit that needed different insurance, different coverage, walls in, walls out. So the walls out needed to be fixed first, and because you want to seal the outside before, because if you repair the inside and the outside hasn't been repaired, you're just going to get the water to come
Right.
back in again. So it doesn't make sense. So she had to get some financing on this while she was waiting for insurance claims to pay, but she was also suing the HOA not only for this, but
That's not
for
complicated.
yeah, but her deceased mom, she was suing them for elderly abuse and a number of other things. So
Oh my God.
that became the first issue. By the way, an attorney from our circle, Scott, brought this in. A really good attorney brought this
Hmm.
client in and knew that I worked with entertainment and everything. I'm like, that's fine. And even if she's a creative, she's a writer. Scott, you and I, we can deal with like okay, that's they can be difficult if they have no executive function, operational. They're just creatives. They're right brained. So
Hmm.
you need to be able to, when you're dealing with repairing repairs and dealing with different timelines and contractors and everything, you need to have some executive skills to be able to be on operations. Well,
Hmm.
a true creative, a full creative doesn't, right? They're creating stories and stuff, but they don't know how to run circumstance like a first AD or a producer or a
It's a different
YouTube.
skill set, and when you have someone who
Completely.
does both, it's kind of
It,
rare.
it's rare.
But in certain industries, you get into it and you go like, it's going to be interesting to see how so and so operates, and when they can operate on both ends, it's magical.
It is.
But if
It
they
is.
can only do one side of it, then
Yeah.
you go, okay, please just trust me to help you with the other side.
Get somebody who can, and
Yeah.
doing that, and I talk about entertainment and like running a film or running a episodic television. It's a business. You run a business. You have the people. If it's a different business outside, well, you have a widget that people are creating. They have architects and creators, and then they have the people that are buying the materials and the machines to make it, and then they have to deal with the budgets. They have to deal with export, import. They have to deal with packaging, right? All the operations, but you also have the people that are creating the actual product. So it's the same thing in film, and it's the same thing
Mhm.
when you're dealing logistically with a business, a project, a construction project, basically that needs to be finished so that it could be sold, and Scott can go do his thing and sell that and get it out there and sold. So anyway, this hell. So she realized with all the lawsuits, the law firm ended up leaving, and we're now a year in. We've given her a construction loan, which a construction loan you have to, you get a certain amount done, then you get another disbursement of money, then you get another certain done, you get a
Right.
disbursement, you have to show progress, and the financing is based on that. Well, we were wondering why after a year the loan's almost due and she's only taken one disbursement. And we're like, hasn't any of the work gotten done? Like, no, because the lawyers had left. She's on her third lawyer now. She's all these lawsuits. And the HOA said, well, we're not going to do anything. You're suing us for all these things. We're not going to just come after us. So they're not, and then they ended up doing it. But then she was like, well, there's one thing that wasn't done. So she was holding up doing the internal stuff. Meanwhile, a year and a half goes by, still no work is being done. I find out that the contractor who wrote the scope of work that we based the construction loan on, long gone. He was like, I can't deal with you. You're gone. So it turns out after a few other people, she hires the HOA's contractor, the same HOA that she's suing. And she's like, okay, you're hiring the contractors that you're suing, and you hired them. Like, that doesn't make sense. So after months, that didn't pan out, obviously.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Meanwhile, she's just hemorrhaging money, and the estate has completely squandered all of its money on lawyers that have left, contractors, and it just turns out it was something like 2.5 years. I was supposed to get compensated upon liquidation of the property, and by the way, the lender already had done 2 extensions on the loan. And is trying, and now went in, took a look, said, you got to get this done. If you get this done, we'll keep forbearance, called forbearance, when you continue the loan without foreclosing. They held off on foreclosing for quite a while. And then finally, she squandered her money. She didn't get the stuff done. She had she had 6 or 7 different contractors, one for the cabinets, one for the flooring, one for the electrical. She needed permitting. Stuff just wasn't done. The place still wasn't cleared out. So, so long story short, she, this was just, and we had that timeline. I said, look, we're probably going to sell it as is, Scott. So we're like, let's bring in Scott. She's not going to do it. So let's just get this is a fixer condo.
It's a great unit.
So you got re-engaged, you got more active in this. And she just blew it up. She blew it up, and the contractor, the lender had no choice but to foreclose on the property, and they sold it before Scott and I got a chance to work together on this particular condo. I put hundreds and hundreds of hours into this for the better part of almost 3 years, and I got paid zero. So welcome to my hell clients.
God.
And Scott, welcome to yours. But I know I shielded you from most of that strife, but hopefully that was the welcome to hell with Scott Nell story that I wanted to give you. Does that work?
Yes, yeah, it's funny. You took all the hits. I just would come over there and I would dab some of the blood off your face. It was, yeah. You did shelter me. Bottom line is, though, sometimes people just can't be helped, and you can do your best, and at the end of it, you just know that I did my best, but this person wouldn't allow it, and then because they wouldn't, they just wasted a lot of people's time and probably cost herself hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, she did. She costed the estate everything, including losing the house. And there were some problems early off, and I sort of doubled down because you and I want to help. I want to help. And she was grieving her mother, but she was also grieving in the way that she was creating, I realized psychologically, she was creating these impediments as sort of her bear to cross, and for her to experience actual pain in grieving. And so, she was not functioning in the way of getting the thing done. She would rather create the drama and continue it along, is kind of what I saw. She wasn't doing this voluntarily, but there were so many times when I tried, she's like, I wish you were my attorney. It's like, well, I'm not an attorney, but it sounds like I could do a better job than the attorneys are. I
Mhm.
wish you were the managing the contracting, so I tried to do that,
Mhm.
but that so there was all these things along the way that I tried to double down and help her, but she was just incapable of. So there's a lot of morals to that story. If somebody doesn't have operational understanding of how to organize a project and
Mhm.
execute it, you need to get somebody to do it for you. And she screwed herself and her family out of
Mhm.
hundreds of thousands of dollars because she was the wrong. She wouldn't delegate and so many other things. So
That's sad.
yeah,
That's sad. And the tough thing for a guy like you is you give a shit, right? So
I
you
care.
care. Because you do, you want to get involved, but then when you get involved, there's always the risk associated with it because if you get too involved, then it can bounce back at you. But if
Yeah.
you don't get involved enough, then you don't feel like you're doing your job. That was a terrible position for you to be in.
It was a very tough position. I don't know that I would have done it separate, a different way, except for I would have
Mhm.
now. I mean, knowing that, I would insist on getting someone in. It's like you can't do that. I can't help you unless you get somebody in. And I have people, but it was a matter of and she was a little cray cray and all this stuff. And look, you and I will work with cray cray. We will. We
Mhm.
do it. We work with the hardest people.
Mhm.
We care about people and we see them. Hold my beer. We got the real estate scenario down. It's a
Mhm.
matter of handling the person and handling the situation. And some people don't have those skills. Scott, you do. I like to think that I do, and that I think that people that's what you're remembered for. 3, 4,
Right.
5 years later, they don't remember the name of the escrow company. They don't remember the name. They remember you, and that's why, because you walked with them and empowered them through the process and
Right.
got them to the finish line.
I think that's what the best agents do is that for one they know their stuff, right? So you have to really know your stuff. So you got to study, you got to stay updated, you've got to really be take it seriously. But then it's like, how can I help? And really, sometimes I tell the team, sometimes you got to just be quiet you got to ask them, how can I help you? How do you like to work? And be quiet and hear, and they'll tell you exactly what you need to hear. And
Yeah.
so,
In that scenario, I didn't I was driving from the back seat, and so it was very hard to. Yeah, I couldn't. There wasn't a level of power that I can get to just take over the project and run it, because I would have.
mhm.
We could have torn down the entire building and built it, torn it down and built it twice in the time it took for her to absolutely get nothing done,
Yeah.
under any normal circumstances. And so yeah, that was a tricky situation altogether. But
Well, it gave me a really good insight on you. So, believe it or not, what's interesting is that I've already got multiple stories about suing the HOA, your hell client. We work with Cray Cray. I love it. Something that I would love to hear from you is, if you wouldn't mind sharing it, is I know you're an author as well, and you're published. And so the book you wrote, Conscious Intelligence.
yeah.
And so would love to just get a snapshot of that because the title alone says a lot. But why did you write that, and what brought that out in the first place?
Yeah, and I think if I recall, you're a writer or have a writing background,
Screenplays, yeah.
screenplays. So the you'd have to go far into my background in terms of my studies and my background, but I'm inherent. I've always been an academic, curious about everything, especially the deeper Eastern philosophy and
Mm-hmm.
um, catalytic leadership and what it takes to lead and what it takes to win. And I'm a lifelong athlete, and all these backgrounds informed a challenge that I had about why is there so much divisiveness in this world? Why is there so much miscommunication and breakdown in communication? And a wise person once said in the writing field, if you can't find that in the library or a bookstore, then it's yours to write. And it was like
Mm-hmm.
challenge accepted.
Ah,
And so 10 years of research, I came up with conscious intelligence paradigm. and which has the DNA of that paradigm are really about distinctions, what I called individual invisible distinctions. And basically what it is it's breakdown in communication, not only between other people, but the breakdown in communication that's in your head and with yourself, and the language that we use, which is either empowering or disempowering, or it's the messaging that you create the life that you live into. And this sounds very like coaching and everything like that, but how we speak and we create what it is that people see and what people experience and what we really create, as we live into it, and using the proper language and catching yourself saying things that are disempowering or that are giving up power. There's something called personal sovereignty. When you can keep that, and understand and hear other people's ways that they manipulate language, or that they try to have power, that they try to take advantage. When you can take that all back and recognize it, it's very powerful. And when you go into an organization, which I've done, with this, I work with executives and leaders and teams, to lead a team more powerfully, to be able to communicate better, to create, especially when there's conflict in an environment, or when there's when the environment just isn't coalescing that well. That's about catalytic leadership, and that's what conscious intelligence is all about, and the paradigm and the whole platform. So that was
Love it.
something that I learned and propagated out of a more lifelong experience of not just my running two companies, but being a paramedic, being an athlete.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, having lived
What
in.
a resume you have. My gosh.
Yeah,
Seriously, because there's so many other things, but it would take hours to go through it. 'Cause
yeah.
didn't you just get your black belt as well then
I
Aikido?
did after I black belt
Crazy.
in Aikido, which is a Japanese martial
It's
art.
huge. It's huge.
Yeah. Again, it just deepens the practice. I practice yoga and other. These breath has a lot to do, and your biomechanics and your biology and physiology, breathing and breath, and your heart rate and your ability to be graceful in chaos is a very, very powerful catalytic leadership skill. How do you do that? Well, a first responder arrives on a scene and it's chaos. There's people bleeding and running around. And it's like, ready, go. You don't know what you're going to get. It's like life's a box of chocolates, ready, go. And while people are screaming and yelling, you have to come in calm and go, I'm going to help you right now. I know what to do, and I'm going to take care of you. Look at me in the eyes and listen to my voice, and you run.
Wow.
That's you can walk into a boardroom with that same kind of right, with that same kind of cadence, and calm down a boardroom and run a meeting as well. We're both leaders and we run meetings, and companies. There's the stature and the way that you present yourself. People are watching. People are reacting and responding to whether you're aggressive or whether I got this, we got this. It's a crisis, but we got this. Or
Right.
it's everything's going great, isn't it? And just whatever it is, it's walking and bringing grace. So anyway, that's a rant
That's great.
about conscious intelligence and
That's only one little piece of a full book. But I love what you're saying. It's so true. And the calm that you have. I remember one time I was in my office and I heard a crash, and it turns out it was a motorcycle, and they went right into the freaking wall on a turn. I mean, it shook. Ran out there, and there's a woman lying on the ground, and she's bleeding, and she can't move, and everyone's panicked, and they start to pick her up, and I said, stop, stop, stop. Everyone be quiet. Everyone, just slow down, because I knew what you don't want to do is, like, I knew the basics. I don't know, I'm not you.
don't move.
And it was interesting. So I said, get me something to sit on. I sat down so their head wasn't dropping, and I just held it and said, call 911. And I just whispered in her ear, everything's going to be okay. Don't worry. We got you. Inside, I was freaking panicked. I was like, it was so weird to feel that emotional, but you go like, now's not the time, Scott. Now's not the time. You're going to feel it, but now it's time to do it. So focus, focus, focus. And they came. Turns out she got out of the hospital the next day. She got knocked out. I thought she broke her freaking neck. But what you're talking about, that calm and that focus and letting your mind, your heart, your spirit work together. But I tell you, I felt like panicking. I felt in the moment, and I was thinking like, I'd be a terrible EMT. I'd be terrible at this.
No,
This moment I can handle, but that was one moment.
Sounds like you'd be good. Some people panic, some people black out.
Yeah.
But you did exactly. You know what? With your calm, people mirror that. And if you look at someone and say, "I got you," and you're not going, "Oh my God," and let your feelings come. It doesn't mean that first responders don't have feelings and empathy.
Right.
They're the most compassionate people you know. They're putting their lives in danger to save other humans. That is one of the most compassionate things. But if you look at them, they're not crying over someone and going, "Let's cry together because you look like you're really in bad shape," because that's not helping the situation. Right. So they're saying, "Listen to my voice. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to cut that seatbelt off of you. This is a big knife, but in that smoke that's in the it's sodium azide. It's the propellant for the airbag. It's not on fire right now. Stay calm and listen to my voice. Or maybe it is on fire, and we got to get you out of here. We'll get you out of here. But so your voice and your calm also dictates your body. And when your body's calm, you can remain calm because you can't control the environment. All you can control is how you're conducting yourself within the environment. Right. And when you're conducting yourself with grace, that's what it is. It's grace. It's employing conscious intelligence. So that's the goal in scenarios, not losing.
Employing, I like that.
Yeah, it was Kipling that said, if you can keep your head well, all around you are losing theirs and blaming you. So that's resonated in my life about keeping your head while all around you are losing theirs.
Yeah, and that's not easy. Wow.
And even when you're in the middle of hell, in real estate hell, keeping your head. I have another situation right now that the person is in a pretty bad situation and having to keep the person grounded and say, we got this. We're going to do it step by step. We're going to surround you with a team of people that are going to move through each of the things that we need to do, and we're going to get you to the finish line so that we get you into a better place. And it's the same. When you conduct yourself one way in one situation, you can usually transfer it to something else, whether it's family, whether it's a relationship, or whether it's work or some crisis. So, absolutely.
So this turned out to be a deeper conversation than. But then again, I got to figure with you it's going to be because you're a very eclectic guy. You're not just one thing. You're so many different things. So I figured I had to. So
so are you. You're an incredible human being, and that was a lot of life experience. I mean, your family and just the dynamic that happens in your life too. You're just not. You don't that. To all the listeners, this guy never gives himself the kind of credit that he really deserves. And everybody who knows him knows that. You are quite an incredible guy.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't. You're harder on yourself. I'll just say that. I'm always which is a good lesson to go. Wait a second. Yeah, set a high bar for yourself, but don't beat yourself up. You're doing your best. You're working really hard, and it comes a point when you're looking back so much that you trip, as opposed to going, I'm going to look forward. I'm going to learn from that obstacle I just had. There's just different ways of looking at it, and I would think that by now that I'd have more of a mastery on it. But I'm going like, I'm still struggling, just like everyone.
Well, it's interesting how when that voice, again, I was talking earlier about that inner voice, says things like, you're not doing enough, you're not good enough, and all these things. Those are the people that are the overachievers, because no matter what they achieve, that voice is still going, it's still not good enough. Yeah. And so it's interesting how that voice creates an overachiever. It's not the best thing, but you'll note that when you see these people that are just relentlessly overachievers, ask them what's going on in their head when they're recognized. See if they actually take a second and absorb it, or whether they go, no, I don't deserve it, and like, no. Yeah, you and I both could be better at taking a moment and enjoying the moment of achievement when you do it, and hopefully you're doing that, because there's a lot of
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. It's a balance that we all have to reach, and it's all, and each one of us is going to have a different path. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to look through that book again, because now I'm intrigued again, and I do want to say thank you for thanks again. I know how freaking crazy you are, how busy you are, and this was actually this was better than I expected,
Okay.
and not that I wasn't expecting it to be. I mean, it's you, so I expect it's gonna be terrific. So, but thanks for taking the time, man. I really, really appreciate it.
Anytime for you, my brother.